my name is Rachael, and today I'm going to be telling you about new to me authors that I believe are going to be auto reads from now on. So I got this idea from the Top 10 Tuesday list, which I will link down below, and that was the top 10 new to me authors from the past couple of years. So I've kind of taken that and adapted it to new to me authors that I believe will become auto reads for me. So first up is Shauna Mcguire. I think that I really am going to gravitate towards a lot of things that she's written just because I enjoyed the Wayward Children series so much. I think it was either in 2020, I think it was 2020, that I basically marathoned the series. I read all of the books in the series, and I really enjoyed the experience. Now, I will say 1 through 5 really were just like perfection, and since then I've struggled a little bit more with the books, but maybe that's just me and like the setting and whatnot. So I'm hoping to do a reread and see if I enjoy the other ones more, but it won't stop me from reading other books in the series. I will be continuing to keep up with the Wayward Children series, and I'm looking into reading more by Shauna Mcguire and even books under her other names. So I think she's going to be an auto read author for me, one that just grabs my attention. Another one is Justina Ireland. Now, I've only read 2. I read the duology for Dread Nation, and it was, again, perfection. I loved it. I love the writing style. I thought it was very original and interesting. So while I've read those 2, I think that I'm going to have to dig more into her backlist and into any book she comes out with in the future because I really, really enjoyed her writing style. Another one is Ruth Ware. As it stands today, I am all caught up on her books. I've read all of her books. Now, I wouldn't say any of these were like 5-star reads per se, but they were all fun to read. They're just a really quick, easy, fun, interesting mystery to pick up when you need something. So I'm planning to keep up with all of her new releases as we go forward. The new one, The It Girl, I'm hoping to read this year, and it seems like she's putting out about one a year, so I'm hoping just to keep up with all of her new releases. And next up is Lucy Foley. Kind of similarly, I don't remember if she might have other books out. I don't remember if The Hunting Party was her first book or not, now that I'm thinking about it. But I read The Hunting Party and The Guest List last year, and I feel like I'm going to gravitate towards her mysteries from now on. Her newest release is The Paris Apartment, so I'm super, super excited to get to that one and give it a read. And next up is Tears of Price. I've only read 1 book by her, but it was one of my favorite books from last year. It was a 5-star read for me, and that was Pride and Premeditation. She is going to do a Jane Austen murder mystery series where she rewrites all of the original Jane Austen novels as like a murder mystery, and I'm super excited to get into the next one, which will be releasing soon, and that is Sense and Sensibility is the original book, but Sense and Second Degree Murder is the name of Tears of Price's book. So I think just because I loved the idea, the writing style, the execution, I loved it all, that I think that I will gravitate towards her name in the future. I will definitely continue on with this series and try to keep up with it as it goes. Also, Alex Michaelitis. I read The Silent Patient several years ago, and then I read The Maidens last year, and I just really enjoyed the ride. I feel like he does a very good job of giving you enough hints to where you can guess some of the things that are happening, but there's usually at least a twist or 2 that I don't see coming, which I really enjoy. I like being able to feel kind of smart and figure it out, but not figure it all the way out. I still want to be surprised. So I very much enjoyed both of the books I've read by him so far, so I think he's one I'm going to automatically read in the future. Another is Kate Baer. She's a poet, which is kind of odd for me, but I've read both of her poetry collections so far and very much enjoyed them. The first one was What Kind of Woman, and it was very good, very like feminist, intellectual, very pretty poetry. And then the most recent one was I Hope This Finds You Well, and I think she calls it something else, but I always heard of it as found poems, where she takes a piece and then basically deletes all the text that she doesn't want, and what's left is her poem. And she does this with communications she's received mostly on social media, and a lot of them are just such negative comments that a lot of women typically would get anyway, so it's relatable. But she takes these these messages, these communications, and takes out the words and highlights just the ones she wants and makes these poems in response, and they're just beautiful. So I will be reading her poetry from now on. Another one is Maureen Johnson. I had not read any Maureen Johnson before last year, but I marathoned the original trilogy for Truly Devious, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I am definitely going to have to get into Maureen Johnson more. I know that I have The Box in the Woods still to read, and I know that she has some other books out there. I believe I even own some, so I'm hoping to get into those soon, but I really enjoyed that series, and yeah, Maureen Johnson needs to be on my list more. Another one is Catherine Ryan Howard, and this one really just came out of the 56 days that I read this past year for book club. I really enjoyed this book. Just like Alex Michaelitis, I feel like she does a good job of letting you guess a couple of things, but also keeping a few things as a surprise twist at the end. And I've only read the one book, but I've already felt myself looking for more books that she's written. In fact, I actually just borrowed an ebook just to kind of browse through and see if it's something that I want to read. So I definitely think she's one that I'm at least going to be paying attention to in the future if it's not an auto read. Another one is Pieman and Salah. She wrote Arsenic and Adobo, which I loved last year. I've already bought the second one, which is Homicide and Hollow Hollow, and I am hoping to read that in the month of March. I am so excited. I really, really like this series. I like the way that she writes and incorporates her culture into the books. I think I'm going to be keeping up with that series as long as she's writing it. Another new one is Mary Roach. I know that Mary Roach is not new, but she's new to me, and I read Spook this past year, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I'm very much looking forward to digging into more of the Mary Roach back catalog. I feel like it's going to be a similar tone in all the books, just different topics, so I'm very excited to get to them. I think the next one I'm going to be reading is Packing for Mars, which I'm excited about. And the next is David Grann. I read Killers of the Flower Moon this past year, and it was really, really fascinating. So I'm hoping to dig back into some more books that he's written and keep up with any new ones he produces. I do know that The Lost City of Z is one that is probably going to be the one I'm probably going to read next, and I'm very, very excited to get into it. I really think he does a great job of bringing these historical events to life and making you care about the subject matter and the context and what happens to the people in the book, and also making it easy to access what's happening. Sometimes when you read nonfiction books about historical events, it's not as easy to understand and relate to them, but I think he did a great job of that in Killers of the Flower Moon. So I'm looking forward to more by David Grann. And finally, Namina Forna. She wrote The Gilded Ones, and I absolutely cannot wait for the sequel that's coming out later this spring, and that's going to be called The Merciless Ones, I believe, and it's very heavy-handed with the feminism, but I am here for it. I really enjoyed it. We read it for our school book club, and I was kind of surprised. I'm not huge into fantasy. Like, I just am not big with like the different world with the different magic systems, and I'm just typically not into that, but I really got into this one. I loved the layout. I loved the reveals. I loved how the things wrapped up and connected, and I'm really, really excited to see where the story goes. So I believe I'm going to be reading more of Namina Forna. So there you have some of my top new to me authors that I anticipate being auto reads for me in the future. I would love to know if you agree with any of these opinions, and what are some of your auto read authors that you've come into contact with over the past 2 years. Who are some of the authors that are going to be auto reads from you that you have just discovered in the past few years? I'd love to know down below. Let's talk books. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another video soon. Bye.